Welcome back to the channel with a new video, and this video is all about diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus is a clinical syndrome of hyperglycemia with glucosuria. That is high blood level of glucose and high level of glucose in urine. It is a metabolic disorder characterized by impairment of fat, carbohydrate and protein metabolism. In a healthy person, insulin helps glucose from food to get into cells to be used for energy. However, this process is impaired in a diabetic person. Diabetes primarily is of two types. Type 1, which is insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, and type 2, which is non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. Type 1 diabetes mellitus is an autoimmune disorder in which body's own immune system attacks the insulin secreting beta cells of the pancreas. In type 1, due to human leukocyte antigen linked autoimmune destruction of the beta cells, there is virtually no secreting insulin inside the body. Or say there is absolute lack of insulin in the body because 90% of the beta cells which are responsible for secreting insulin from the pancreas are destroyed. They are typically dead. So the onset of the typical symptoms of diabetes mellitus are abrupt, and they are usually seen in young individuals such as teenagers or young adults below age of 35 years. Patients usually in this type of diabetes mellitus are not obese, as opposed to the type 2 diabetes mellitus in which most of the patients are obese, and that diabetes mellitus is basically caused due to the obesity. It is called as insulin dependent diabetes mellitus because in this type of diabetes mellitus there is virtually no secretion of insulin inside the body, right? So we depend upon exogenous insulin, that is outside insulin, to control hyperglycemia inside the body. So, as this is an autoimmune disorder, there should be a trigger, right? So, trigger can be a virus such as Coxsackie virus, mumps, rubella, measles, and it is an autoimmune disease. Thus, it can also be related to Addison's disease, pernicious anemia, and thyroid diseases. Now, let's look at type 2 diabetes mellitus. Type 2 diabetes mellitus. Type 2 diabetes mellitus is a more common type of diabetes mellitus as compared to the type 1, and it is usually a lifestyle linked disease. It is not autoimmune disease. It is caused by your life choices and to some extent genetics. So, obesity is the number one factor for this disease. In this disease, there is no absolute lack of insulin. In fact, there is normal or low to moderate secretion of insulin inside the body, but there is resistance to this insulin. That is, insulin cannot be used to cause uptake of the glucose by the cells. That is why hyperglycemia exists in the bloodstream. Most patients in this type of diabetes mellitus are obese. And obesity is one of the most common causes of insulin resistance leading to type 2 diabetes mellitus. This essentially is a multifactorial disease. There are a lot of factors contributing to the causage of diabetes mellitus type 2. Ultimately, they lead to low secretion of insulin or insulin resistance or hepatic glucose synthesis. The main factors on which it depends is genetics. If both the parents are diabetic, there are 50% chances of the child being diabetic as well. Obesity. It increases the resistance to insulin by adipose tissue inflammation. That is when there is excess fat on the body, especially the visceral fat that is around your organs. There is release of pro-inflammatory cytokines like tumor necrosis factor alpha and interleukin type 6. These will interfere with insulin signaling pathways and they will inhibit insulin from acting as it should be. It can also impair insulin sensitivity due to mitochondrial dysfunction. Obesity can also cause hyperinsulinemia. That is where there is excess intake of calories, namely carbohydrates. There is persistently high secretion of insulin and the cells become desensitized to this insulin because they are always sensitized to them and ultimately they get desensitized and they do not respond to insulin, and thus they cannot cause uptake of this glucose inside the cells, and it keeps on accumulating in the bloodstream, ultimately causing hyperglycemia. Hypertension can also cause insulin resistance and thus lead to diabetes mellitus type 2 because it causes microvascular dysfunctions, renin-angiotensin system activation, and endothelial dysfunctions. Common symptoms of diabetes, both type 1 and type 2, are increased thirst and urination, extreme fatigue, progressive unexplained weight loss, blurred vision, slow healing sores and ulcers, and frequent infections, usually fungal and bacterial also, on the genitalia, in mouth, on skin. Most common example you can give in the oral cavity, which is oral thrush, which is candidiasis. It is a fungal infection of the palate or tongue. Type 2 diabetes mellitus usually shows complications at the time of diagnosis, such as diabetic neuropathy, retinopathy, and nephropathy. Diabetes can lead to devastating complications such as heart disease, stroke, gangrene, blindness. Ultimately, in most individuals in which the diabetes is uncontrolled, there has to be lower limb amputations. So managing blood glucose levels, blood pressure, and cholesterol is crucial in preventing this disease and the complications associated with disease. Let's come to the diagnosis of diabetes mellitus. There are various tests for diabetes mellitus, which are blood tests, which include fasting plasma glucose levels, random plasma glucose levels, or oral glucose tolerance test, and HbA1c level monitoring. Other factors can also be like detection of glucosuria, detection of urinary proteins, detection of urinary ketone bodies. A diagnosis of diabetes mellitus is confirmed if any of these following criteria is present. First, fasting plasma glucose levels are more than or equal to 126 mg per deciliter. Random plasma glucose levels are more than or equal to 200 mg per deciliter. If it is between 140 and 199, it is called as pre-diabetes. Oral glucose tolerance test 2 hours after intake of 75 grams of glucose. If it comes more than 200 mg per deciliter, it can also be taken as a positive diabetic test. HbA1c levels, if it is more than or equal to 6.5%, it is also considered as a diabetic diagnosis. Now, what is HbA1c? HbA1c is glycosylated hemoglobin. When glucose binds with hemoglobin, it forms an irreversible bond with the hemoglobin and circulates in blood attached to the RBC for its whole lifespan, which is about 90 to 120 days. This HbA1c is the major form of glycosylated hemoglobin, thus reflects a state of hyperglycemia for 80 to 90 days, which is about 8 to 12 weeks. So, monitoring HbA1c regularly can help you maintain a state of normal blood sugar level, and you should ideally aim for it to be less than 7% if you want to manage your diabetes well. Detection of glucosuria. Glucosuria is the excretion of glucose in urine. Most common cause of glucosuria is diabetes mellitus, but it is not only the cause of glucosuria. So always, if glucosuria is detected, it should be confirmed by either plasma glucose level test or other test. So glucosuria does not actually occur every time. It has a threshold. If 180 milligrams of deciliter of glucose level is present in the blood, then it will exceed this threshold, and ultimately glucose will be excreted outside the urine. So it is a first line screening test for diabetes mellitus. Detection of urinary proteins, which is basically albuminuria, also hint towards nephropathy, which is diabetic nephropathy, and most of the diagnoses for diabetic nephropathy are done this way.